Okay, welcome back to the Seek Strength YouTube. Thank you for tuning in again. So today is going to be a little discussion on how you should manage your resources as an athlete, no matter what you're doing. If you're strength training, marathon running, crossfitter, powerlifting, weightlifter, whatever it is, I want to show you a little representation about how you should think about how you manage your resources as an athlete. Okay, so I'll explain what these children's toys blocks are for. Okay, so let's take something nice and simple. Let's take the back squat in the gym, okay? So here is a child's toy block, okay? So what I want you to think about this represents is one unit of work that you've done in the gym or on the pitch or running the roads, whatever it is, okay? So let's talk about the back squats for a minute so it's a bit easier for most people to understand, all right? So this one block represents 10 reps at 85%, okay? So this one unit of work, 85%, 10 reps over 1 RM, 10 reps at 85% of 1 RM in the gym, okay? Now, when we put in these units of work, we're stacking them on top of each other, and once we get to a significant number of reps at a certain percentage, we're building towards a new PB, okay? So, we build these in towers, and each tower represents our PB, and the higher PBs get, the higher towers get, okay? Nice and simple. So, what I want you to think about is, we have a beginner athlete, 100 kilo back squat, relatively low, untrained. It's pretty easy to put in enough work to get beyond the 100 kilo back squat, alright? So let's say we need 30 reps at 85% across maybe 2 weeks, maybe one session, okay? Let's say one session to hit our new PB, because we're a beginner, so it can be very low. One session can be enough to get better. Let's say it's even 80 kilos, okay? So we need 10 reps at 85%. We put in this work. Boom, we've hit a new PB, alright? So now I want to add another kind of aspect to this analogy. I want you to imagine over here, this is our pool of resources as an athlete, okay? So once we recover correctly, fully, smartly, we get our resources back. So we come into the gym, we've got full recovery, we put in our work. We're still just talking about squats for the minute. So we put in our sets of whatever it is, however many squats of whatever percentage our program calls for. We're putting in the work. We use up all our resources. So our resources are empty, but we've put in a lot of work for training. Now, we've got a good coach, we've got a good program, we're smart. We're obviously not going to come in tomorrow and train, okay? So, because we've kind of talked a couple of different aspects to recovering from training, okay? So, we have the first area, the one that recovers fastest, is local muscular fatigue. So if we're doing squats, our legs will recover fastest, okay? So this is the fatigue we feel in our quads and hamstrings and our quads and glutes, whatever, okay? So this recovers fastest. Then we move on to the next stage where we have CNS fatigue or neuromuscular fatigue. So this recovers next. So our local muscular recovery recovers fast enough. This fatigue dissipates really fast. So then we have our CNS fatigue, this recovers next. And then finally we have muscle fiber damage, okay? So ideally, in most cases, we wait for all of these stages to recover properly so we can be fully recovered in the gym, okay? So if we give ourselves the opportunity to recover, so we've put in this work in the gym, we've given ourselves the opportunity to recover properly, and we get all our resources back and our ability to put in more work in the gym the next day, okay? Now, if we try something like training when there is still CNS fatigue, we won't be able to recruit the maximum amount of muscle fibers, so we won't be able to produce as much strength, or we won't be able to run as fast as we should be able to. And if we train when we've recovered from CNS fatigue and we've recovered from local muscular fatigue, but we still have muscle fiber damage, we haven't given our body the opportunity to compensate for the prior work we've put in, and our performance won't be increased. So we'll be training in a stage of training where we do not have increased performance, so we'll be stagnant, and instead of building our tower upwards, we'll be just building our tower across. So we're putting in useless work, we're still using precious resources in the gym for no positive effect, alright? So, let's say we have a smart program. Now we need to be smart about a recovery, okay? So, loads of different things. Every aspect of your life affects your ability to recover and get back the most amount of resources to put into training. So sleep is a big one, our nutrition, our calories, what kind of calories, what kind of prehab and rehab work we're doing to a certain extent. Now, a very small extent in, we've things like supplements, we've things like maybe a massage gun, getting massages, or we've mental relaxation, so we're lowering our cortisol levels, which helps our ability to sleep and recover from training. Now, I won't get too much into the weeds of these, but I want you to think about all those very important aspects of your recovery that you know you need to do to recover properly from training so we can put in more work, okay? Now, you've got to be very, very smart with your work, okay? Because basically, none of us just do squats in the gym, okay? So we're all, let's take a powerlifter again. So still quite simple movements, easy to understand the work we put in. It's very clear, weight on the bar, kilos, certain number of reps. Very, very simple in theory, but hard to do. So let's say we take a powerlifter, we've squat, bench, deadlift, okay? Now, we've been training for a couple of years, so let's say we'll give ourselves a bigger pool of resources, okay? More work, okay? However, we've been training for a long time, so our 10 reps 85% is no longer, let's say we have a max of 100, so 10 reps at 85 kilos, it's now, we're moving up to 200 kilos. So that 1 unit of work, that absolute weight, that physical weight at the bar is a lot higher. So this ultimately still takes more work. So before we might have done 10 reps at 85%, might have been 1 block, now it's 5 reps at 85% takes 1 block, okay? Because the weight is heavier, and ultimately heavier weight takes more out of our system. So when we come into the gym, we've got a bigger pool of resources, but we've got more pools to put these resources in, more areas that we want to put more of our work in, okay? So we come in, do our squat workout, we use a lot of units of work. Let's say we come in, let's take a poor scenario here, a very negative scenario we shouldn't be doing. We come in, put a lot of work into our bench, and then we try to put a lot of work into our squat, okay? So all of this in one session, so not a good idea. We have a very moderate pool of resources, okay? And we're after using them all up for this session, okay? So, like we were saying, we come to the gym the next day, we only get maybe 1, maybe 2 blocks back, okay? Hang on, I'll leave these here just so we get 2 blocks back. We've still put in that work there, because we started that when we were fresh and knew we could training, a new block of training, okay? So we've put in that work and that training. Strength training stays for a long time, okay? So it's very steady. It's like a skill as much as anything, but it's a skill that remains. So that muscle fiber adaptation, that ability to recruit fibers stays for a long time, okay? So let's say the next day, we try to put in more work into our squat, more into our deadlift. Again, we run out of very fast, okay? So we're not able to put in as much work each day. So you've got to be really, really smart, okay? So if you want to build your towers up to the highest you can, you've got to give yourself that opportunity to recover properly for each session. So let's say you learn it takes 2 days to recover fully for your next squat workout, or it might take 10 days to recover fully for next quality squat workout. You've got to learn that yourself. So that's up to your recovery, your genetics, whatever you're doing, how long you've been training, what kind of program you're running, how much work you're putting in. So you just got to be really smart about this, and you've got to learn what these mean, okay? Now, let's take something like an injury, okay? So we get injured, okay? So we've put in some amount of work here. These are our pool of resources. So we've got a full pool of resources, but we got injured. We overtrained, we got an acute injury, we tore a muscle fiber, something like that. We broke a bone, who knows what we did, okay? So we've got an injury, it's significant, and we can't train. So what happens to our work we've done, and what happens to the pool of resources we have? So our pool of resources will remain quite high for a period of time, and the work we've put in the gym, if it's strength training, will remain quite stagnant for a period of time, for a couple of weeks. So let's say we've put in quite a bit of work. After a couple of weeks, some of this will dissipate. We will lose temporarily, we will lose these gains, and we will lose some of our ability to recover. However, if we're still talking about strength training remains with us for a very long time, so we still have these gains and these recovery, so our ability to recover will come back a lot faster, okay? So things like endurance training, let's say we're a runner, maybe we're a swimmer, something like that, and so we just have one aspect. Our ability to build the blocks higher is a lot faster because it requires less fatigue in the system, it produces less fatigue in the system, but the quality of our towers, how long our towers stay up, will dissipate a lot faster, okay? So these will go, we can build this in 6 weeks, whereas with strength training might be 6 years, But with strength training, it might take a year, 2 years for us to lose a lot of our tower. But with endurance training, we'll lose that a lot faster, okay? Now, if we take some other kind of, I'll just explain one or two small areas before we finish up. So let's say we take something like active recovery, okay? So as of yet, there's no good research showing that any kind of active recovery workout, so this is probably talking to our CrossFitters listening now, maybe some of our weightlifters, powerlifters, that it really does anything significant for in terms of restocking our pool of resources here, okay? So going for like a run or a walk or something, or like a 500 meter row, something like that, whatever you think your active recovery is doing. In reality, all your active recovery is a unit of work that's still below your threshold to recover. So it's just a low volume day, so that allows you to recover enough. So that volume of work isn't high enough to build anything onto your tower, but it's still well within your body's ability to recover. So you're just pooling your resources. But the likelihood is, it may or may not be doing, now depending on your program, what kind of active recovery you're doing, it may be producing some work to your towers, but the chances are, if it's still underneath your body's ability to recover, what it might be doing is either equaling, you might be breaking even, so you may not be taking any work out because you're recovering enough, or you may be just, while you're not putting any positive work into your towers, you may be just negatively taking away from your resources for no positive benefit. So I want you to think about that a little bit. So if you think about something like squat every day. So squat every day isn't as popular as it used to be, thank God. So let's say we're just looking at the squat again. We're squatting every day. We're not doing enough volume to build our tower upwards. However, we are distracting from our pool of resources, and we're just building to the side. So we're doing a relevant intensity that's fatigue is enough, but we're not doing enough volume to build upwards with this intensity. So all we're doing is we're just building sideways. We're just going to the side of our tower. We're not really getting better. Maybe after the course of 6 weeks, because it's novel to you, you might be building up. But in reality, you're likely just going to get injured or not improve your squat or whatever it is, okay? So I hope this helped clear up some things. I hope it helped you think a little bit more about your training. I hope it'll let you kind of work some things out in your head about how your training works and how your resources go. So remember, you always need to be smart with your training. Use your blocks wisely. And thanks for watching, guys. If you would love a comment, it helps a lot. Maybe a thumbs up, maybe even a subscribe. It's all very much appreciated. Thanks, guys.